Well, hello, everybody. This is Karen Jane Casey, and this is my new podcast since September, Moments with Carin. And in Moments with Carin, I will be sharing bits and pieces of the past or present moments of my life, or things that I've learned, and maybe things that I've read. The goal was always for us to find lessons, helpful information, and maybe increase the joy in our life. Today's topic is quality time alone. So, a few weeks ago, my husband had to go out of town for a long weekend, and that doesn't happen very often. We've been married for 6 years, we've been together for 12 years, and I remembered the last time that this happened, that he had to go out of town. I had not fared very well at that. It wasn't that I was lonely so much, but with him away, my routine just kind of went away with him. As you may know, because of my previous episode on this podcast, when I shared the inside scoop about my first novel, I'm an author. I typically can be quite comfortable, cozy in the house, enjoying writing, and sometimes all day long. And secondly, I love to read. Also, though, I stayed busy with writing, podcasts, volunteer activities, and ministry community outreach. I am retired from employment. I worked for the Commonwealth of Virginia for 31 years, and I retired in 2017. It seems like a long time ago. Everything is completely different now. Well, the last time that my hubby went out of town, it was disastrous, as I said. I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I essentially lost track of all time. I didn't properly eat. I didn't go to bed on time. I was closed off from the world like a hermit. I can remember periods of time that I was just wearing my pajamas all day long. By the time he did come home, I was a wreck physically from the lack of sleep, from keeping my eyes on the computer, writing, and from eating nothing but snacks. I know what you're thinking. Am I 12? Self-discipline apparently had left me for that period of time, as well as the idea about self-care. Well, I know that we are supposed to love ourselves as we do others, and that includes exercise, eating properly, getting plenty of sleep, drinking water. Normally I go to bed at a regular time because my husband gets up for work and I get up with him. Folks, everything about the routine and the schedule went out the window. And immediately after he had returned from his trip, it's amazing, my routine, my schedule returned. So, not wanting to make the same mistake again, this time I gave it some thought and I made a plan. I remembered those 8 years I had enjoyed living alone before I had met my husband. My previous home was only 912 square feet, and I had a half an acre of land. I loved working in my yard. I would mow it myself, garden. I made a beautiful garden of flowers. I even raked and blew the leaves myself, bagging them up. One time I counted 100 bags at once. Oh, but that part I didn't enjoy. But I made my yard look like a park. It was beautiful. And I was proud of it. I spent many Sunday afternoons sitting in my gazebo that I had in the back, and with me was my little dog, Sable. Sable had been with me for many years. In fact, when she did pass, she had lived 17 and a half years. Sable was a powder puff Chinese crested, my constant companion. I remember one time I had to check under the house, and I was really, nervous about spiders or whatever. I went ahead and crawled under there to look at, what I had, if there was any mold or anything. And she crawled under there with me. But anyway, I was not lonely. I was alone but not lonely. I was able to enjoy my own company and entertain myself. I used to love to take myself out to dinner and a movie. In fact, I can remember during that period, I had gone out with a date, a fella I didn't really know that well, and while he and I sat at the dinner table, I was bored out of my mind with him, his constant bragging about himself and talking, and then he got technical about what he did at work. And I didn't care about that. I didn't need to learn about it. And I had thought to myself, I could have taken myself out. Well, bringing those moments to mind, I planned my event while my hubby was gone. I took myself to dinner and a movie. It was fun figuring out that perfect movie that I would go to at the location of the theater and where I'd go to dinner. What time? I didn't want it to be real late, so I went in the afternoon to the matinee, and I put dinner at the right time frame, you know. So also I enjoyed planning what I was going to wear. I didn't want it to be casual, but nice. Of course, the actual movie and the dinner were the highlights. I watched Blinded by the Light, and it was awesome. The storyline is set in 1987 in England, where a Pakistani boy or teenager, going into the teenage years, is in the midst of struggles with his family, with his father, because he has desires to be a writer, but his father does not want him to go in that direction. So he is essentially finding himself, finding his own voice. But then he hears the words in a song, and Bruce Springsteen, and that gives him his own epiphany. So then he starts listening to the words and many of the songs by Bruce Springsteen, and it helps him to find his own voice. I laughed and I cried. It was a great experience. I would highly recommend that movie. For dinner, I went to Howlett's Restaurant in Chester, and I had boneless pork chops topped with candied apples and cherries. Doesn't that sound yummy? I hope I'm making you hungry. It was a risk for me to order pork chops because I wear braces. So if it had been tough, I might have had a few struggles, maybe some embarrassment while I tried to cut it up and chew it up. But it was very tender and very tasty. I looked at the variety of rich desserts, and I decided to go home and enjoy ice cream later on. I knew I had some in the fridge, and you know, maybe I'd watch a Hallmark movie before going to bed. On Sunday, during this select weekend alone, I went to church as we normally do, and I enjoyed the service and speaking with friends. I guess it was also my social hour, since that's when I spent time with other people. Other than church and taking myself out on a date at various times, I deliberately gave myself great big chunks of time to peacefully sit on my porch, like I used to do in my gazebo. I was not wasting time. I was refreshing myself from all the busyness and chaos of the world. It was a peaceful, pleasant experience. I remembered the quote from Mark Twain, "I've lived through some terrible things in life, some of which actually happened." I love that quote. So my rule was to either not think on anything, just sit there and enjoy the breeze and what was around me, or to only think my thoughts, let my thoughts travel to those things that are positive, lovely, kind, good, and praiseworthy. I even allowed myself to daydream with hopes for a good future. I had different scenarios. They were all good. It was pleasant thoughts that distracted my attention from the present chores, schedules, and tasks to be done. That's a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? I found myself peacefully praising, thanking, and praying to God without any distractions and interruptions. I appreciated being in His presence. I made requests and I listened for His voice. I gave all of my past and present problems and concerns to the Lord. They were gone to me. No worries, only happy moments, happy thoughts. Well, I guess I should back up for a minute. When I just said I appreciated being in His presence, did you understand what I was talking about? To be in His presence is a style of being there for and with a spiritual or divine presence. I could have said I was spending my quality time with God. We were both there, enjoying peaceful moments together. I could feel the gentle breeze going by me. I could hear the birds chirping. It was very pleasant. I know when the date is that my husband will be taking another long weekend. He'll be scheduled to go out of town, and I look forward to it. I'm already planning my adventures and quality time alone, improving upon it. With this adventure coming up, I plan to visit family and friends and to pull out one of my unread books off of the shelf and dive into it. Maybe I'll take myself out on another date. It'll be fun to plan on it. Up till now, I've been buying and gathering books, several books to read. Some are from fellow authors from book events, and some are by folks like Joyce Meyer, Charles Stanley, Priscilla Schreier, and other great authors. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm reading them and getting into them. I usually go to thriftbooks.com for great deals on books in very good condition, so I'm not spending a fortune of money on them. Recently, I found Andy Andrews' The Traveler's Gift and The Noticer. Well, I'm going to read them both. I must admit, this collection of books, they are predominantly shelved in my office bookcase and they are on display. But I haven't been reading a great deal of them. So with my next long weekend, I'll be penciling in ample time to read these books. Well, why wait? I can pencil it in now. I can pencil in regular reading in my weekly schedule. And I can even pledge to you to tell you about some of them that I really enjoyed in future episodes. I can share with you what I've learned in them. You might recall that I spoke to you in my episode on September 11th, just last month, about my first novel, My Dear Rosa Jean. And I shared some secrets and learned lessons, a backstory. The title of that episode is Inside Scoop, My Dear Rosa Jean. If you haven't heard it or watched the video, I invite you to. I hope that my sharing has been an encouragement to some people in my audience who find anxiety when being alone. They're feeling lonely. We can change our mind, our outlook about it. We can choose to enjoy every moment we have in life, and we can make plans. Do you have suggestions on what wonderful, adventurous, and worthwhile things that people can do while they have some extra time alone on their hands? Or maybe you know people who are alone most of the time because of their situation or circumstances, and maybe you can reach out to them. I think I'll utilize that idea as well. I know some people who live alone. Maybe they would like to spend some time with me, a small chunk of time, or even a big adventure. Later in the year, this year, I'm going to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with a really lovely group of people. We're going to take a bus and stay a couple days, and it is going to be fun, adventurous. It's going to be like family. It's at Christmas time, so there'll be all kinds of decorations up. It'll be really festive. I know some, and some of them will be new friends for me. Maybe we could even plan something similar to that. Please share your ideas with me and share how this episode has affected you. Share your ideas with those people you know who might not always enjoy being alone. Pass along encouragement to others and feel really good about yourself having done so. Maybe you can plan to go out to dinner and a movie with them. Maybe you could even organize a group of people to travel or share an adventure. Be enthusiastic, be creative, be deliberate, and plan your next quality time. Will it be alone, or will it be with other people? Whatever it is, you can have an enjoyable time. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode on Moments with Carin. This is Carin Jane Casey. Moments with Carin is available every Wednesday morning at 7, where we can explore the past and present moments to find lessons, entertainment, and joy in life. You may be aware I have 2 faith-based podcasts that are available on stormtalk365radio.com. And that is Turn to God with Carin every Monday morning at 6:30. Essentially, it's about overcoming life challenges. Abundant Living with Carin is on Tuesday mornings at 7, where we share biblical principles and the good news of Jesus. The platform for this podcast, Moments with Carin, is Spreaker.com. And I'll tell you the link. It's all in lowercase letters, spreaker.com/show/moments-w-Carin, Carin. When you go to it, you'll see a listing of the episodes for your listening pleasure. All 5 of them so far. You can also go to Carin Jane Casey on YouTube. This episode title is Quality Time Alone. And then when you list the title on YouTube, the video should come up. And if you go there, please subscribe to my channel and watch my other videos. My website is CarinJaneCasey.com, CarinJaneCasey. I would sincerely love any suggestions or feedback you may have. And it's on my website that you'll find out more about my books. My Dear Rosa Jean, which is my first novel, very suspenseful, very dramatic, and it shares about overcoming and healing. Mystery at Candace Bay, that is a real page-turner, a mystery, and it's entertaining and encouraging. And then Granny Babysits the Mischievous 5. That's a fun children's chapter book for kids and grown-ups. My books are available at Amazon.com and Kindle, and also Barnes & Noble Nook. Well, thank you and have a blessed week.